Hi guys, it's Lanikia. I am coming to you with the Handmaid's Tale Season 1, Episode 8, Jezebel. And I just finished watching it, and my videos are probably going to be a day after because it takes me a while to comprehend and just break down everything that happened in my head. Y'all just going to have to excuse my hair. I went to work. Now it's like later in the evening. And I didn't feel like putting the moisture. I'm trying to wait to do the wash day until Friday. Today's Wednesday. I don't know. I hope I can make it, but I don't know. My glass is crooked. It might just be my eye. Well, all right. So I actually like The Handmaid's Tale. I started watching it because I looked at this list of all these great shows that were to offer, and it was actually on there. So one Sunday I started watching it, and I did like a whole marathon of it. I was like, I think I missed like 4 episodes, so I watched all 4, and then I've just been keeping up since then. I really do like it. It's different to me than most shows that are coming out now. Plus, you don't want to say this could happen, but it kind of could happen. Like when you see how they just kind of sat back and gave up rights and everything, you're just like, man, I hope that like never happens to us where we're so developed and we just let all of that go. Let me see if I can take the tag off this water, because I don't know if you should supposed to have that on there or not. But okay, so let's get into this episode. So it starts off with June in the bed with Nick, and she feels guilty because Luke is still alive, but she can't let go of Nick. Like, she started to develop feelings for Nick, which I don't know if she has true feelings for him or it's just some kind of way for her to be normal, you know, because of her situation, just that she actually has a choice to be with him, whereas with the commander she doesn't. So it starts off with her in bed with Nick, and he's sleeping, and she's just looking around, and she's doing her talking to her head. And then they give us Nick's perspective of how everything is going. So they cut to showing Nick, who's just looking at June, and he likes June. He really does like her. So now they give us Nick's perspective, or how he came to be. So Nick, I guess, was taking care of his brother, and his brother just kept messing up. So Nick had to he kept losing jobs and everything like that. Nick did, because he was taking care of his brother. So he was at this employment place, and I guess the man helps him get jobs. And he was telling him, like, listen, I can't help you get another job. This is it for you. You know, you only stay on a job maybe a month or so. So he gets upset with the man, and then the man behind him is being all mouthy, saying, didn't you hear him? Hurry up. So Nick ends up punching the recruiter man. He pushed the guy who was mouthing off in the back, and then he punches the recruiter man, and then of course they escort him outside. But when he goes outside, the recruitment employer comes outside, and he was like, let me buy you a cup of coffee. And this is how he kind of starts telling Nick about what he does and who he is. So then we cut back to June, and she's going to her room. And when June got in her room, the commander was there, and I was like, oh my gosh, he's found out you were messing around with Nick. Because that's what I thought it was, like that he had been waiting for her a while. But no, that wasn't it. He was in her room, and he gave her like makeup, and he gave her earrings, and he gave her a dress and shoes, and so she's putting everything on, and she looks really pretty. And he takes her out, because he says Mrs. Weatherford is out of town, so we have a night to ourselves. Which you can already tell that, like, the commander is too involved. Which I thought from the not the last episode, but the episode before that he was going to be more with his wife, because she sacrificed. His wife was like great intellect in forming this whole thing, whatever it is, she was really the brains behind it, and helping him and everything. And it's like she kind of got left behind. But I thought after that last episode, which was 2 weeks ago, that he was going to be more towards his wife, but I guess not, because he's doing all this with June while she's out of town. So she gets all dolled up, and she's walking down the hallway, and he's like, we're gonna go out or whatever. And of course Nick is there, because that's the driver. So Nick is looking like, ugh, because he already knows what it is, because again, she's not the first woman that has done this for the commander. So then we go back to the commander. Then we go back to Nick, where he actually meets the commander. So he's driving the car for the recruitment employee person. He's driving for him, and they're all in the back seat. It's 3 men. I don't know one of the other one's name. He couldn't have been important. But the commander was back there, and the employment recruiter or scout or whatever you want to call him, he's in there. And so the commander and the man that I don't know his name, they're talking about how they're actually talking about, this is before the handmaids came about, and they're actually just talking about how this would happen. And the recruitment man was kind of like, I don't know about this. Maybe we shouldn't call it the act or whatever. Maybe, I don't know about this, but maybe we could bring the wives in. And then the commander is like, well, what wife would do it or whatever? But some kind of way they thought it was a good idea, so they worked that all out in the back seat, and Nick is hearing this go on. So then the other 2 men get out and leave, because he's taking them to their destination, and the commander is still in the vehicle. So Nick makes a comment about, just, watch the recruitment, or my commander, sometimes he has a good heart, but he just talks out of the mouth. Really, Nick is trying, we find out later, Nick is saying this to get in good with the commander, who is Commander Waterford, to get in good with him or whatever. So the Commander Waterford starts asking Nick questions like, what do you think about it? And Nick is like, yeah, I think it's cool or whatever. So that's how the Commander Waterford starts liking Nick. So then we go back to them at the place. So they've made it to the place, which it looks like an abandoned school or a warehouse, maybe a hotel or something. It looks like something like that. So they go through the back door, because women are not supposed to be doing this anyways. And so they go back through the back door, and June takes off her, because when they were in a limousine and everything, she had to cover up, because women are not supposed to go so far out of the city. So she had to cover up. She had to pretend she was Mrs. Waterford. So they finally arrive at this place, and June takes off everything, and Nick stays behind, but they go into this room, and it really looked like a swingers room. I mean, there was people, like, I guess they were like that's why it's called Jezebels, because these are the ladies of the night and everything. So they're going in, and June is like, what is this? And he was like, these are pretty much the Jezebels. These are the women that would rather do this, I guess, be a pleasure or make their own choices. So they would rather do this than to work in the colonies, or because I guess they can't be handmaids anymore. So they go and go down the hallway. So they go down the hallway and everything, and Nick is in the kitchen, and he's trading stuff with one of the maids. Like, he has pills and everything, and fresh mint, I guess mint herbs. He has pills and fresh herbs and everything. And the handmaid, I guess she's the kitchen staff. She has and he has pregnancy tests. He has all of that for them, and she's giving him other stuff. So they're trading or whatever, and he can't even mess with that handmaid or the kitchen staff, because he's thinking about June. So you could tell, because she was like, "Don't you?" She was trying to kiss up on him, and he was like, "Not tonight." because he really wants June, and that's gotta be like, to know that your commander is, because he knows why she's there. So the good thing about this episode is, I think her name is Myra. We finally find out what happened to her. And so as June and the commander are at the bar, she looks over and she sees Mara. Is it Mara? I'm just gonna call her M, because I don't know her name. She looks over and she sees her, and she's like, oh my gosh. So she tells the commander, I have to go to the bathroom. So then she goes to the bathroom, and then a few seconds later, M comes in, and she's talking to her, and she's telling her, it's do you forgive me? Because remember, M left June at that on the train because she was able to get away, but June often was not able to get away. And often was like, no. June was like, no. June is often is June. They just name. And she was like, no, I forgive you. I'm not mad or anything. So then the woman comes in. I guess she's like the dame or something. And she tells her, hey, you already she tells M, you've already taken a bathroom break. Get back out here. Because really they're just like prostitutes. That's pretty much what they turned them into. But I guess they feel a certain independence because it's like that's their choice or whatever. So M gets back out there or whatever, and then June goes outside, and the commander is waiting on her, and he was like, I thought you got lost and all this. And then some man tried to talk to June, and the commander was like, no, she's with me. And so anyways, June and the commander Waterford go up to the bedroom, into the room that he's gotten. He shows her that he has a room key, so he's gotten a room for them. But remember, June really doesn't feel the commander, because this is more when she's with the commander. This is rape, because she doesn't want this. She has to pretend that she wants it. When she's with Nick, she does not mind because she's actually likes Nick. So anyways, they go to the room. He starts talking about all these people are coming for me, and I feel paranoid. Pretty much he's just paranoid, which they probably are really coming for him, but he's probably paranoid as well too. And so she was like, that's what it is to be the boss or whatever. So then he goes over to her and he was like, I just wanted this night for us to be alone. We don't have to pretend not to make noises. I don't know. I guess in his head, he really thinks she wants to be with him. So for him, he's like, this is great. We can be together now, and we don't have to hide our feelings, because my wife is there. Child, I don't know. So June is crying, and I'm like, June, you gotta pull it together, girl. But June is crying because she doesn't want to be with him. But it's like of course she has to be with him because he could send her to the colonies, and she doesn't want that. So I guess I'm like, I guess they cut to it being over, so we don't know that he didn't see her crying or whatever, but I don't know. So anyways, June wakes up and the commander's like, he's out of there. So June wakes up and she goes and finds Myra or M, because she's told her room where she's going to be at. And she goes down this hallway and they have the weirdest stuff. Like, it was one woman sounding like she was getting tortured. It was one woman, and it was a bunch of people in a room. I was like, oh. And then she punched the elevator, and this woman was an amputee, and he was just licking all over like her arm where she had been amputated. And so I'm like, oh, so this is the place they go and have all their wildest dreams and fetish and all of that or whatever. And so June finally makes it to M, and M is like, this is what happened to me. So we find out what happened to M after she got on the train. So she was able to go, I think she was going to Canada somewhere. Anyways, so she was able to reach safety, and they were trying to get her to Canada. I have to look at it again. If y'all don't tell me. But on the way, she got caught. And the man who was helping her, they killed him. And June had a choice between go to the colonies or be a Jezebel. And so she chose the Jezebel because the colonies is horrible, and they didn't even offer her a chance to be a handmaid again, because they say, no, you're not gonna be a handmaid, because you have too much influence. These girls will be trying to rise up and follow you, so you can't be a handmaid anymore. So she had to choose a life with being a Jezebel. She said she knows it's only gonna last a few years. They're really graphic, and like their wording and stuff can be vulgar, but it is what it is. I still like it. But she was like, she knows she can only last a few years doing this, so she's just gonna, ride it out. And I don't think M was into men. I think she was. I think she, like, she had dated women. I think that's what was her preference. But having to do this, I think she didn't have a choice. And so they're both. She was telling June that, at least it's a little bit of a freedom, because I only have to do stuff at night. So she was like, it's still prison, but at least I feel like I have a little freedom. So I guess that was the trade-off for that. I don't know. But but we did see a part where we did see a part in the show where Nick ran into the room because he heard the kitchen maid at the Waterford's house screaming. Now this is a flashback, and he heard the maid screaming, and he went and he saw the first Often had committed suicide. Like she didn't want to do. And then so when they were bringing the body out and everything, Mrs. Waterford tells the commander, what did you think would happen? So I think Mrs. Waterford knows about this whole thing that they have going on in this, like, this weirdness. And I think he had took that Often there, and she didn't like that or whatever. So that's what I think. I'm not sure. Maybe she was just talking about, like, what did you think would happen if a girl, like, all she is your sex slave, because that's pretty much what they are. What did you think? Breeders. That's really what they are. And so that was a part of the episode where we got to see a little bit about the first Often. But so after that, they go back home because Mrs. Waterford is going to be arriving. Excuse me, my sinus. So they go back home, and I don't know. Mr. Waterford is with Mrs. Waterford, and they're talking, and then June is eating, and she sees Nick, and she gets happy because he is her happy spot. And so he's kind of in his feelings because he knows what he's doing what they're doing is not right. Plus you flash back, and he is actually there. You see him talking to his commander, not Commander Waterford, but his commander, and he's there getting dirt on Commander Waterford. And so I guess a part of him is like, he has to complete this mission on getting dirt on Commander Waterford, and June is a distraction or whatever. But she doesn't know that, like, he's a part of, I really was like, okay, so is Nick and his people, are they like trying to take down Commander Waterford and all them? Like, they don't want this type of world? Is that what's going on? So, ooh, child, I need to wash my hair so bad. Okay. Anyways, I don't know, but you got to see Nick a little bit differently, and see that, he has to hold a lot of stuff in because he's on a mission to take Commander Waterford and all of them down. So then, anyways, June is in the kitchen eating, and she sees Nick, and she becomes happy, like she starts smiling, and he's about to walk right past her, and she's like, Nick, and he's like, this, we have to stop this. And she was like, I don't know anything about you. You don't tell me anything. And so she's begging him, she's almost begging him, because he is her only normalcy in this whole thing, and he's pretty much telling her no. And so when she was about to leave, he sees she's upset, so he wants to come over and talk to her. And by this time, she's like, I'm done. Like, it'll just be what it is. And that's pretty much the end of that for them. I guess they're gonna go their separate ways, and they're gonna just be safe and not be with each other anymore, even though they do have feelings for each other. Plus, like, she found out her husband is still alive, so I'm like, why are you still? But she says she's weak and she just has, I don't know. But Mrs. Waterford finds June and she gives her a gift, which is a box with a dancer in it, and it plays music. I can't think of what it's called. Oh my gosh, that's so horrible. But anyways, so she gives her that as a gift, and June is like, yeah. And so June is like, yeah. So I'm like this dancer. When people want me, they wind me up, and I can only come out when they open the box. So in a way, she felt trapped like the dancer in the box. And then she writes down a sketch, because remember, there's another sketch on the wall that says, don't let the bastards kill you, take you down or something. And she writes out, you are not alone, to the next girl who's probably going to be often. So I don't know, it was a good episode. I was glad that they got back to a normal episode, because honestly, I didn't like last week's episode with the husband. I don't care. I don't care. But I like this episode. It was much better. It gave you more information. You got to know Nick a little bit better. So he's still a mystery, but he's not as mysterious. So that was The Handmaid's Tale, Jezebel. Tell me what you think.